vehicle. You see outside? Oh, that vehicle is up because I have this appeal sitting this side.
Number 0, Ryan Levy. Number 2, Lauren Smith. Number 3,
is it to that?
Katie Foley. Number 7, Julia Mixon. Number 11, Hartley Christensen. Number 14, Walter Riley. Number 15, Maria Miller. Number 16, yes, I can hear you. Number 18, Adam.
I can hear you.
Number 19,
Okay.
Number 20, Number 21, Danielle Casey. Number 22, Number 26, Amy Stock. Number 27,
How does it look?
Number 28, Julia Jack. Number 30, Carly Zabuski. Number 31,
It's a 2.
Number 33, Alexa Boone. Number 34, Number 39, Missy Number 36, Number 37, Now let's meet the starters of the family.
How's that look?
Manny Durant. Forward from Ingold Lake Heights, Minnesota. Number 15, Kevin Henry. Defender, Number 17, Abby Haskins. Midfielder from Stephen Buck, Wisconsin.
Why are you so blue? I don't know why.
And midfielder.
Yeah, I'm listening. I said blue.
Coached by head coach and assistant by Jim Jones, Alex Luke. It's the first time
So let me promote it.
created by MSU student athlete Dakota Wendell.
Is that one good time? What's the time? Sorry.
Coaches and spectators. We ask that you cheer for your team and be respectful of the opponent. As Division II student athletes, we support a diverse and inclusive environment and we commit to fair play, responsibility, and respect. We invite you to support our efforts and go Mavs!
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the playing of the national anthem.
I'm still for money. I'm still playing football.
welcome to the pitch on the campus of Minnesota State Mankato. It is Championship Sunday here in Mankato. This is the finals of the NSIC Conference Tournament as the number 21 ranked Minnesota State Mavericks host the Augustana Vikings. Earlier this season, the Mavericks defeated the Vikings 3-0. This is a rematch of last season's NSIC Conference Tournament Championship game. For Augustana, the Vikings finished the regular season with a record of 12-2-4, 11-1-3 in the NSIC. Augustana earned the number 3 seed in this NSIC Conference Tournament and defeated the 6th seeded Concordia St. Paul Golden Bears and upset the number 2 seeded Bemidji State Beavers. Players to watch for today's match for Augustana: Samantha Timkowitz. She leads the Vikings in goals with 9, is tied for assists with 4, and has 22 total points. Now for Minnesota State. The Mavericks finished the regular season with a record of 15-2-1, 13-1-1 in the NSIC. Minnesota State earned the number 1 seed in this NSIC Conference Tournament and defeated the 8th seeded Minnesota Duluth Bulldogs and the 5th seeded University of Mary Marauders. Now, for the starters for today's match, starting with Augustana. In goal, number 1, Taylor Makahek. Number 4, Mackenzie Main. Number 5, Samantha Timkowitz. Number 9, Courtney Almendinger. Number 11, Kelly Partington. Number 15, Ellie Knowles. Number 19, Rebecca Thorson. Number 20, Brooke Bleeker. Number 21, Lauren Brownrigg. Number 24, Claire Dom. And number 29, Hannah Kierstead. And now for Minnesota State. In goal, number 1, Taylor Livermore. Number 5, Alicia Duxini. Number 6, Bree Chacho. Number 8, Lauren Kislick. Number 9, Morgan Gatu. Number 10, Abby Nordine. Number 12, Maddie Brandt. Number 13, Taylor Keneally. Number 17, Abby Hoskin. Number 23, Jenny Herder. And number 25, Lexi Pazanka. As we look to get underway here in Mankato, Minnesota State in their purple jerseys going from left to right in this first half, and Augustana in their gold jerseys going from right to left. And we're underway here as Minnesota State with control. Abby Hoskin trying to get up to Herder, and that gets played out on the far side off of Augustana, throwing for Minnesota State. That gets headed up by Augustana, trying to control it. That gets played back in by Chacho for the Mavericks, trying to get one to Gatu. Now Morgan Gatu pressured there and played up on the far side by Augustana, taken off her foot by Abby Hoskin. Now Lauren Kislick gets taken down and foul called in the play. It'll be free kick coming up for Minnesota State here. Abby Hoskin going to take this free kick. Sends one in. That gets headed out by Thorson. But Herod on the ball for the Mavericks, trying to play one in. And Taylor Makahek for the Vikings comes up to grab it. She'll have a goal kick coming up. Sends one away low. That bounces. Played by Duxini. Over to Keneally. Now Taylor Keneally for the Mavericks. Plays them back to Pazanka. Lexi Pazanka trying to play one to Herder. That gets played out. And now Maddie Brandt for the Mavericks. Plays one back to Nordine. Now Nordine over to Pazanka. Lexi Pazanka gets one up to Duxini. Now Duxini at midfield trying to play one into space. Running after is Katu. Back there for the Vikings is Thorson. And she plays one in the middle. No one there for the Vikings. Jenny Herder is there for the Mavericks. And that gets deflected and cleared out. All the way back to Hoskin. Hoskin plays one on the far side. Trying to keep it in. And she does. And the Vikings with control. Partington plays one back. Now Almendinger trying to go into Timkowitz. That gets taken off her foot. And now Katu Katu, that gets deflected over to Duxini. Now Duxini over to Pizanka. Lexi Pizanka trying to play one in the middle. No one there for the Mavericks. That gets played out. Back to Brandt. Now Maddie Brandt for the Mavericks trying to send one in. Keneally trying to find Herder. That gets played out. All the way back to Maverick territory. And Hoskins running after it there for the Mavericks, over on the far side. Plays on over to Nordine. Abby Nordine over to Pizanka. Lexi Pizanka trying to get one up at midfield to Herder. Now Jenny Herder in the ball. Trying to play one in. That gets played out. Now Almendinger on the ball for the Vikings. Plays one up looking for Timkowitz. Now Samantha Timkowitz brings one to the middle. Brandt there with the pressure for the Mavericks. Takes it away. That gets deflected all the way up to Kislik. Now Lauren Kislik. Loose ball. Taken over there by the Vikings. Sent in by Thorson. Nordine back there for the Mavericks. Plays one out on the near side. Throwing for the Vikings here. Taking it's number 29, Kierstead. Hannah Kierstead. That goes off for the Vikings. Trying to get one to Almendinger. So now throwing for the Mavericks here. Near side. Taking it is Lexi Pizanka. Pizanka finds Brandt. Brandt trying to get one to Duxini. Duxini touch pass over to Keneally. Now Keneally with space on the near side. Brings it across midfield. Trying to play one in with Katu. Now Morgan Katu. Still on it. Makacek comes out to play it. And that goes out of play off Minnesota State. Goal kick coming out for Makahek and the Vikings. She slips, all gets one away. Headed up there all the way to Timkowitz. Now Timkowitz turns it over. And Lexi Pizanka trying to get one to Keneally. That gets played out by Kierstead. Trying to find Knowles. Nordine comes up play for the Mavericks. Gets up to Kislik. Now Lauren Kislik pressured there on the far side. Trying to play one up. Katu running after it. Makahek runs out of her goal. Mavericks trying to send one in. Ball's loose and finally cleared out by the Vikings. Goal kick coming up for the corner kick coming up for the Mavericks, excuse me. Over there. Katu gets one into Herder. Now Jenny Herder brings it to the baseline. Trying to keep it in. And she cannot. Goal kick coming up for Augustana now. Five minutes elapsed in this first half. Scoreless here in Mankato. Headed by Kislik. Herder gets one up to Katu. Now Morgan Katu trying to go back to Herder. Cleared back out by the Vikings. That one deflects. And Dom plays it up in the middle. Partington gets one over to Almendinger. Almendinger trying to find Timkowitz. That gets taken over there by Pizanka. Pizanka plays it over to Hoskin. Now that'll be Hoskin for the Mavericks. Gets it up to Kislik. Lauren Kislik on the far side. Trying to play one into Katu. And that goes too far. Out of play. Goal kick coming up for the Vikings and Taylor Makahek.
Mine's broken, but it was already cut. Okay, so I give her another one. This one's like that too.
The flex over to Keneally. Now Keneally pressured there by Kierstead. And Duxini plays it back for the Mavericks to Pizanka. Lexi Pizanka gets one over to Nordine. Nordine back to Pizanka on the near side. Keeps it in. Cross midfield, trying someone in the middle. No one there for the Mavericks. And that gets through the defense to Kislik. Now Lauren Kislik trying to get one to Katu. It gets played out back to Kislik. Now Lauren Kislik again for the Mavericks. Brings it to the middle, sends one in on goal. And easily grabbed there by Makahek and the Vikings. That gets headed up there. All the way back to Maverick territory. Hoskin plays him back to Nordine. Now Nordine, trying to play one up to Keneally. Gets up to Keneally, now Keneally over to Katu. Morgan Katu. Still on the ball for the Mavericks. Gets one into Herder, now Jenny Herder. That gets deflected. Now to play off of Lauren Brownrick in the Vikings, so corner kick coming up for the Mavericks now. On the far side, over there for Minnesota State, Jenny Herder. Herder sends one in low, headed by Duxini, and over the net. Goal kick coming up now for the Vikings. That bounces through all the way to Brandt. Now Brandt trying to play one in. Headed by Herder. Katu. That gets played out by Thorson. Now to play on the far side. Throwing for the Mavericks. Over there's Hoskin. Hoskin looking. Trying to get into Herder. That gets headed out. Off the Vikings. Throwing for the Mavericks again. Hoskin. That goes all the way over to Katu. Katu could not get to it. Brand on the ball now for the Mavericks. Gets one for Keneally. Keneally pressured there by Kierstad. And taken over there by the Vikings. Up to Knowles. Knowles pressured there. And Chacho sends one back in for the Mavericks. Kislik comes away with it for the Mavericks. Now brings it to the middle. Lauren Kislik sends one in. And good save there for Makahat because that one got deflected. And out of play off the Vikings. Corner kick again coming up for Minnesota State Mavericks. Jenny Herder again taking this one. Headed by Nordine. Ball still loose. As Keneally gets over to Kislik. And they score! Alicia Duxini for the Mavericks. Alicia Duxini gets the goal there for Minnesota State as that ball got played in by Lauren Kislik. So Kislik gets the assist. And that is Duxini's third goal of the season for Minnesota State as they take a 1-0 lead here. As just about 10 minutes elapsed in this first half. Now Katu on the ball for the Mavericks. Trying to get one in the space to Keneally. Now Taylor Keneally. And Makahat comes out to grab it there for the Vikings. Good read there by her as Keneally was in there all alone. Headed there by Brandt. And Almendinger turns it over. Duxini. That gets taken over to the Vikings. Played back out. Now the Mavericks. Bree Chacho could not get to it. Knowles trying to play into Tim Courts. That gets played back in by Bazanka. Cleared there by Thorson. Now Knowles gets one over. Partington. And now the Vikings trying to play one up to Dom. Dom trying to play one in the middle, no one there for the Vikings. As Bree Chacho gets one up to Herder. Now Jenny Herder trying to play one into space to Katu. Now Morgan Katu brings it into the middle. Saved there by Makahat. And cleared there by the Vikings. Makahat doing all she can, handling all this pressure from the Mavericks early. As Minnesota State leads at 1-0. Now on the far side, Abby Hoskin taking this throw in. Gets one into Kislik. Now Lauren Kislik pressured there by Dom. Gets one in. Tended for Katu. That gets played back out to Kislik. Kislik again. Trying to find Keneally. That gets played out. Now Partington trying to play him back, and now sent back in by Chacho. Katu over to Herder, Jenny Herder, Keneally, and that goes wide. Goal kick coming up for Augustana, and Mankato going to take this one. That goes all the way back to Chacho. Chacho plays up to Kislik. Now Lauren Kislik gets taken down. Foul called in the play on the Vikings. Free kick coming up for the Mavericks. Hoskin sends one in low. Deflected over to Chacho. Chacho gets one over to Kislik now. Over there for the Vikings is Dom. But Kislik trying to send one in. That gets headed out. Now deflected over to Duxini. Now Alicia Duxini puts it in the middle. Keneally trying to get back to Duxini, and that gets taken over there by the Vikings. Brandt comes back to send it in. Now Jenny Herder trying to get to it. Taken over there by the Vikings now. Almendinger trying to go into Dom. Taken over there by Hoskin. Hoskin gets one into Katu. Now Morgan Katu brings it to the middle. Sends one in on net. And just wide. That got deflected off of Mankato, the keeper. So another corner kick coming up for the Mavericks. Over there on the far side is Jenny Herder. Herder sends one in. Played out. Duxini gets it over to Kislik. Now Lauren Kislik trying to put one into space for Herder. A little miscommunication there as that one goes out of play. Augustana goal kick coming up. Mankato. Sent back in by Duxini. Katu trying to get one over to Keneally. And Augustana plays one off of Minnesota State. Throwing for the Vikings now. Kierstead. No one there for the Vikings. That's Duxini. Plays it back to Pizanka. Lexi Pizanka turns it over. And now Partington trying to find Knowles. That gets taken over there by Chacho. Chacho gets one up to Kislik. Now Lauren Kislik for the Mavericks. Trying to play one on the far side for Herder. And that goes out of play. Throwing for the Vikings, Brownrigg. Gets one to Bleeker. Bleeker back to Brownrigg. Now back to Bleeker. This time in the middle for Mackenzie Main. That goes off her foot. And then Kislik over to Duxini. Duxini sends one in. And that goes wide. Another goal kick coming up from Mankato and the Vikings. Headed there by Duxini, gets one to Katu. Now Morgan Katu pushes there by Thorson. Plays one back to Pizanka. Lexi Pizanka sends one in. Over there is Kislik. That goes off our head. And now Brownrigg. Partington trying to get to it. Chacho does for the Mavericks though. Gets one to Katu. Now Morgan Katu in the middle. Taken over there by Maine. Cleared by Thorson. Durand on the ball there for the Mavericks. Goes on over to Hoskin. Now Ivy Hoskin. That goes off of Dom. And the Vikings throwing for the Mavericks now. Abby Hoskin over there. Looking for Katu. That gets played out. Dom trying to keep it in, and she does. Trying to get him to Partington. Taken over there by Chacho. Chacho trying to find Herder. Brownrigg eludes the defender. And plays one in the middle for Mackenzie Main. Now Main trying to find Timkowitz. Pizanka over there for the Mavericks. Deflects it. Trying to keep it in, and she can't. Now on the near side, throwing for Augustana. Kierstead. Trying to find Partington. That gets headed all the way back to Nordine. Now Nordine. Headed there by Duxini. And Allmendinger there for the Vikings, plays one back. Now here's Bleeker. Turns it over to Chacho. Over to Duxini. Duxini trying to find Keneally. That gets played back in by Kierstead. Tim Quitz trying to go into Knowles, and that gets played out. On the near side out of play. Throwing for the Vikings. Tim Quitz gets one through. Matty Brandt. Now Tim Quitz brings it to the middle. And that goes off her foot on the baseline. Now substitution, first of the game for Augustana. Number 26, Grace Beam checks in. And now goal kick coming up for Minnesota State. Abby Nordine going to take this one. Nordine trying to get one to Duxini. That goes all the way back to Allmendinger. And Allmendinger to Brownrigg. Brownrigg over to Maine. Now Mackenzie Maine puts it over on the near side to Kierstead. Kierstead trying to find Tim Quitz. Knowles running after for the Vikings. Keeps it in. Puts it back to Tim Quitz now. Samantha Tim Quitz sends one in. All the way back to the keeper. And Livermore is there to make the grab there for Minnesota State. Livermore sends one away. That goes all the way to Kislik. Lauren Kislik plays one in. Katu trying to get to it. She cannot. Thorson can for the Vikings. And turns it over to Chacho. Trying to get one to Herder. Now Jenny Herder does get to it. Trying to play into space for Katu. And Morgan Katu pressured there by Thorson. Sends one in. That gets played out. Deflects it back to Herder. Now Jenny Herder puts it over on the near side. Running after it is Keneally. Taylor Keneally trying to send one in. That gets played back out. And deflected over to Tim Quitz. Now Tim Quitz plays one in the middle. Allmendinger and Chacho collide as that gets deflected. Trying to run back to Allmendinger. And Duxini finally gets on the ball for the Mavericks. Duxini over on the far side for Herder. Jenny Herder keeps it in. Trying to send one in. That gets headed up by Kierstead. All it over to Maine now. Mackenzie Maine has Tim Quitz. Gets it to Tim Quitz now. Back to Maine. Mackenzie Maine in the middle. Gets one over to Partington. Partington plays it up on the far side. Looking for Beam, and that goes out of play. Off of Augustana. Throwing for Minnesota State now. Hoskin looking for Kislik. Now Lauren Kislik looking for Herder. That gets played back in. Headed out by Pazanka. Then Brandt to Duxini. Now Duxini over to Katsu. More Katsu back to Duxini. Now Lacey Duxini with space across midfield. Bringing it up. Trying to put in a Kislik. Now Lauren Kislik sends one in. And Makahek is there to make the grab for Augustana. Booming kick there. Headed by Barantz out to Duxini. Now Lacey Duxini gets one over to Kislik. Lauren Kislik trying to send one in for Keneally. That goes all the way back to the keeper Makahek, and she makes the grab for Augustana. Trying to get one to Partington. That gets played back by Brandt over Pazanka. Now Pazanka over to Chacho. Chacho trying to find Kislik. Now Kislik back to Hoskin. Abby Hoskin gets him to Chacho. Now Bree Chacho back to Hoskin. Hoskin this time to Brandt. That gets taken over there by Mackenzie Maine and over to Knowles. Knowles over to Beam. Grace Beam on the far side for the Vikings. Sends one off of Hoskin. And the Vikings will get their first corner kick of the game. As Augustana, another substitution for them. Checking in, number 16, Rebecca Gasper. Now over there on the far side. I believe that's Brownrigg taking that corner kick. Livermore takes it to herself and makes the grab there from Minnesota State. And Livermore sends one away. Headed up there by Partington. And now Pizanka on the ball for the Mavericks. Kierstead. Now Duxini. Over to Pizanka. Lexi Pizanka. Over to Nordine. Now Nordine over to Hoskin. Pushing there is Beam. And Hoskin turns it over to Partington. Partington trying to summon into Knowles. That gets played out by Nordine. Now up to Herder. Jenny Herder. That gets deflected. And back there is Kierstead. Kierstead plays one back to the keeper, Makahek, and she plays one out. One hop to Brandt. Brandt turns someone back in. Maine sends one out for the Vikings. Headed there by Brandt and Chacho. But Maine is there for the Vikings. Gets one over this time to Gasper and turned over there. Brandt over to Kislik. Pressed there by Brownrigg. And gets one up. Beam looking for Knowles. Taken over there by Nordine. And out of play. Augustana thrown on the far side. Looking for Beam. Back there is Hoskin. And Hoskin lets that one go out of play. Off of the Vikings, so goal kick coming up for the Mavericks. Nordine sends one away. Trying to find Kislik, that goes over her head, and now the Vikings on the ball. Gets one into Knowles. Ellie Knowles plays one into space. Intended for Beam. Hoskin back there for the Mavericks. Plays it off of Augustana. Another goal kick coming up for the Mavericks. As first substitutions come in for Minnesota State.
Coming in for the Mavericks, number 13, Molly Riley. Number 19, Dakota Wendell. Number 24,
Molly Riley, Dakota Wendell,
and number 29.
Molly Serafolian, and Molly Riley all check in for the Mavericks.
I just need one.
Who's Jerry? I don't know.
Headed up there by Duxini.
Who's at your camp?
And now Serafolian. And now Zoc on the ball for the Mavericks. She falls down and cleared out by Rebecca Thorson. That goes all the way back to Pizanka. Lexi Pizanka over in the middle of Bree Chacho. Chacho back to Hoskin. Now maybe Hoskin over to Brandt. Brandt pressured there. Gets one over to Pizanka. Lexi Pizanka sends one in. Looking for Wendell. That gets played out by Kierstead. Headed by Pizanka. Kept in play on the near side by Kierstead. Sent in by Thorson. Mackenzie Main trying to get one over. That gets cleared back up by Chacho. Headed there by Bleeker. Up to Gasper. Now Rebecca Gasper gets one over. To Beam back to Gasper, and Gasper sends one into space looking for Knowles. Now Nordine back there for the Mavericks. Plays it off of Augustana. Throwing for Minnesota State now.
We'll get her.
Hoskin looking for Zoc. That goes over her head and played by Brownrigg. Headed out by Riley. Now Brownrigg back on the ball. Gets one up to Beam. Cleared out by Chacho. Headed up by Zoc and played back in by Bleeker. Now Duxini in the ball for the Mavericks. Pulls it over to Wendell. Pushed there by Kierstead and sent back in. Nordine back there for the Mavericks. Trying to play one out. Headed by Pizanka. Now Duxini. Back to Pizanka. Pizanka trying to get one to Chacho. Over there is Gasper. Now Beam turns it over. And cleared by Brandt. Now Brownrigg on the ball for Augustana. Trying to find Partington. That gets taken over there by the Mavericks. Sent over by Chacho. Looking for Serafolian, and that gets deflected. And Gasper on the ball for Augustana. Plays one up, give and go, back to Gasper. Now looking for Knowles. Knowles, touch pass, no one there for Augustana. And now Nardine. Riley, over to Chacho. Chacho looking for Zoc. That gets deflected, all the way up to Serafolian. That gets played back in, off at Duxini. Now Duxini up to Riley. Now Molly Riley for the Mavericks on the far side. Trying to someone into space for Zoc. Zoc cannot keep it in as that goes out of play. Another goal kick coming up for Makahek and the Vikings. Headed up there, trying to go into Partington. Duxini on the ball for the Mavericks, plays him back to Barant. Now Barant sends one in. That goes out of play off a Brown rig. Going for the Mavericks now. Riley looks for Serafolian. Serafolian puts it there by Brown rig. Brings it to the middle. Molly Serafolian, that gets deflected. Now Brown rig gets one up. Now Beam, looking for Knowles, give and go back to Beam. That goes out of play off of Augustana, throwing for the Mavericks. Hoskin, looking for Zoc. That gets headed in the middle. Over to Duxini. Now Alicia Duxini in the ball. Looking for Wendell. Go to Wendell, pressured there by Kierstad and taken away. Kierstad plays one off. Of Minnesota State, throwing for Augustana. Played back in, Duxini over to Serafolian. Molly Serafolian, pushed there by Maine. Gets one into Duxini, now Alicia Duxini. Trying to send one in, headed out, all the way back to Barant. Now Maddie Barant, trying to send one in, that gets deflected all the way back to Bazanka. Lexi Bazanka now, trying to get one over to Riley. And now Molly Riley on the ball for the Mavericks. On the far side, keeps it in, but Gasper takes over for the Vikings. Gets it up to Beam, taken over there by Hoskin. And now Riley gets one to Zoc. Now Julia Zoc brings it to the middle, sends one in, deflected. And Makahek makes the grab there for the Vikings. Deflected to Brant Pazanka. Back to Barant. Now Barant just plays one in. Now Rebecca Thorson for Augustana. Plays one out on the near side. Throwing for the Mavericks. Pazanka. That gets headed by Kierstad over to Zoc. Now Zoc. Off of Augustana. Throwing for the Mavericks again. Pazanka. Looks for Zoc again. Now Julie Zoc brings it to the middle. Still on the ball. Looking to create now. Sends one in. Diving stop by Makahek. And that goes out of play. Another corner kick coming up for the Mavericks. Molly Serafolian on the near side going to take this one. That goes through everyone. Now loose ball. Molly Riley plays it back to Hoskin. Now Hoskin sends one right back in. Ball still loose, so that one goes over to Serafolian. Now Molly Serafolian plays one off of Kierstad. And we'll get another corner for Minnesota State. There's under 14 minutes to play in this first half. Minnesota State leads Augustana 1-0 off Alicia Duxini goal. Serafolian sends one in. Ball's loose. And deflected all the way back to Brandt. Now Maddie Brandt sends one right back in and cleared out by Thorson. Back to Brandt. Now Brandt looks for Molly Riley. She cannot get to it. Goes out of play on the far side. Now throwing for Augustana as the Vikings have some more substitutions.
Number 13, Grace Bender. Number 22, Kelly Nordberg. And number 25, Jensen Freeland.
Number 13, Grace Bender. Number 22, Kaylee Nordberg. And number 25, Jensen Freilich all check in for Augustana. As that one gets played in by Chacho, looking for Sarah Foley and cleared back out by Thorson. Chacho trying to get one to Riley. Riley looking for Zock, and that gets played out by Bleeker. Pizanka sends one back in for the Mavericks, and Thorson plays one back out. Duxini gets one over to Wendo. Now Dakota Wendo looking for Sarah Foley, and that gets played out on the near side off of Augustana, throwing for Minnesota State. Wendo gets one into Zock. Now Julie Zock looks to create here. Sends one in. And cleared out by Freilich. Duxini taken over there by Nordberg. Cleared by Kierstead. Back to Duxini now. Lisa Duxini trying to send one in. That goes all the way through. Then over to Riley. Now Riley. That gets deflected off a Bender. Hey, Minnesota State, another corner kick coming up. Their 7th of the game already. On the far side over there for Minnesota State, number 24, Molly Serafolian, taking this one. Sends one in low. Now Timkowitz sends one out for the Vikings, looking for Knowles. That goes over her head, and now Hoskin plays one over to Pizanka. Lexi Pizanka for the Mavericks. Sends one over. No one there for the Mavericks. That gets played by Thorson. Looking for Nordberg. Taken over there by the Mavericks. Now Dakota Wenda. Over to Duxini. Lisa Duxini back to Pizanka. Now Lexi Pizanka. This one into Zock. Julia Zock. Pressure there by Maine. Brings it to the middle. Trying to send one over to Riley, and that goes out of play. Makahek and the Vikings goal kick coming up. Vikings come away with it. Gasper now. Trying to play on back to Bender. That gets deflected off of Minnesota State. Throwing for Augustana now. Now Bender plays it off from Riley. Another throw in for Augustana as we approach the 10-minute mark left in this first half. That goes off of Freilich. And the Vikings throwing for Minnesota State at midfield. Over there, Hoskin looks for Riley. That goes deflected off of her. Now Freilich looks for Knowles. She cannot get to it as that gets played out on the far side by Pizanka. Bender trying to get one in. That gets deflected. Duxini sends one back in for the Mavericks. That goes all the way to Serafolian. Now Molly Serafolian with space. Brings one in. And that goes out of play. Pressured there by Thorson. And now Augustana goal kick coming up. Headed by Zock. And now Freilich cannot get to it. Chacho sends one back in for the Mavericks. And now Thorson. That gets deflected. Over to Maine. Maine looking for Nordberg. Sent back in by Pizanka. That one goes out on the far side. Off of Minnesota State. Throwing for Augustana now. Grace Bender. Looking. Gets one into Gasper. Now Gasper. Back to Bender. Bender trying to play one up to Frelick. That gets played back in by Chacho. Over to Serafolian. Now Molly Serafolian. Now Sock and Duxini cannot get to it. Augustana comes away with it. Frelick plays one off a Minnesota State player. And throwing for the Vikings. On the far side, Grace Bender. Looking for Timkowitz. That deflects all the way back. And Hoskin keeps it in. Up to Riley. Now Riley up to Zock. Julia Zock across midfield. Looks for Serafolian now. Molly Serafolian on the far side. Pressuring there for the Vikings. Rebecca Thorson. Serafolian sends one in. And Makahek makes the grab there for the Vikings. And a booming kick there. Headed by Chacho. And Duxini looking for Dakota Wendell. Now Wendell on the ball. Plays him back to Pazanka. Lexi Pazanka. Pressed there by Nordberg. Makes a few moves. Sends one in. To space looking for Serafolian. Thorson turns it over. Now Wendell makes a move. And cleared out by Kierstad. Chacho over to Riley now. Now Molly Riley for the Mavericks on the far side. Looking to send one in. Thorson plays one out. Gasper gets taken down. Foul call in the play. Free kick coming up for the Vikings now. Here's Mackenzie Main on the ball. Plays one back to Bleeker. Now Brooke Bleeker trying to send one into Timkowitz. And that goes out of play on the far side. Now Minnesota State substitutions. Marissa Brody, Julia Nellis, and Danielle Tazik all check in. As well as number 36, Zoe Wright. And now Serafolian looking for Wright, and that goes out of play. Goal kick coming up for Augustana now. Deflected in. Up to Serafolian now. Molly Serafolian gets over to Nellis. Nellis back to Chacho. Chacho over to Wright. Wright trying to deflect from the Tazik. That gets taken over there by the Vikings. And Bleeker clears for Augustana. Now Chacho on the ball. Looks for Tazik. Tazik trying to find Zoe Wright. Pressured there by Grace Bender. And that goes out of play off of Augustana. Thrown from Minnesota State. Hoskin on the far side going to take this one as we approach 5 minutes left to play in this first half. Minnesota State still leads at 1-0. Serafolian could not keep it. Played back out to Brandt now. Brandt to Chacho. Chacho back to Hoskin. Hoskin looks for Wright. That gets played back out to Chacho. Chacho to Tazik. Now Danielle Tazik looking for Nellis. That gets taken over there by Main. Main looks for Knowles. Knowles touch pass to Frelick. Frelick trying to play one in. No one back there for Augustana. Lexi Pazanka is for the Mavericks. She plays one over to Zoe Wright. Zoe Wright on the far side. Pressured there by Bender. Still on the ball. Trying to find Serafolian, and that gets taken over there by Augustana. Now Rebecca Thorson looking for Knowles. That gets headed all the way back to Pazanka now. Lexi Pazanka slips. Ball still loose. And Livermore comes out to make the grab there for Minnesota State. Deflected. Taken over there by Frelick. Now Frelick over to Gasper. Gasper back to Bender. Now Bender over to Main. Mackenzie Main now for the Vikings. Puts him back to Bender now. Bender Back to Maine. Maine pushed there by Nellis, taken over there. And Nellis plays it over to Baruti. Marissa Baruti. Looks for Serafolian. Serafolian, that gets cleared out by Thorson. And now Chacho on the ball. Gets one up to Tazik. Danielle Tazik pressured there by Gasper and taken over away by the Vikings. And trying to play one into Knowles. Back there is Nordine. And Abby Nordine has to play one out on the far side. Throwing for Augustana. As they have some substitutions now for the Vikings.
Number 8, Kaylee Miller. And number 32, Aaron Schneider.
Kaylee Miller and Aaron Schneiderhan check in. Schneiderhan trying to play one in. That goes out of play. Minnesota State goal kick coming up. Nordine going to take this one.
You're gonna watch us or stand here?
Headed there by Wright. Across midfield now. Mackenzie Maine for the Vikings. Plays one back. And Kevin Go back to Maine now. Mackenzie Maine. Across midfield. Looking for Nordberg. Taken over there by Bazanka. Now Lexi Bazanka trying to summon into space. On the near side for Serafolian. Back there is Thorson. Serafolian gets over to Brandt. Now Maddie Brandt. Pushed there by Nordberg. And that goes out of play. Off of Augustana. Throwing for Minnesota State. Gets one in. Looking for Tazik. That gets deflected. Now Freilich on the ball for the Vikings. Taken over there by Maddie Brandt now. Brandt gets one to Nellis. That goes over to Wright now. Zoe Wright. Plays one off of Augustana and cleared. Back to Brandy Brandt now. Brandt looks for Rudy. That goes over her head. And now Grace Bender trying to get to Nordberg. And next to Bazanka plays one out on the near side. Throwing for the Vikings now. Nordberg now. Deflects one. Collision there between Brandt and Maine. No calls. Now Freilich turned over. Mackenzie Maine. And now 1 minute remaining in this first half. 1 minute. Bleeker sends one in for Augustana. Pazanka. Taken over there by Maine now. Mackenzie Maine. No one there for Augustana as Hoskin gets over to Nellis. Nellis trying to go into right. Taken over there by Miller. That goes out of play off Kaylee Miller. Throwing for Minnesota State now on the far side. Hoskin. Looking for right. Headed there by Maine. Now Freilich. Over to Miller. Miller looking for Knowles. That goes out of play off Schneiderhan.
10,
Throwing for the Mavericks now.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3,
Played up.
2, 1.
And that'll do it for this first half. Minnesota State leads Augustana 1-0. We'll be back in 15 minutes for the second half.
walking here? Is they called walking here? They're called.
As we look to resume play in the second half. Shots on goal. 6-0 in favor of Minnesota State. Corner kick 7-1 in favor of Minnesota State. Minnesota State leads it 1-0. Augustana to start the second half. Now going from left to right. Minnesota State going from right to left. And now Nardine plays one up to Katu. Now Morgan Katu. That gets played by Kierstead, headed back in by Duxini. Now Herder on the ball for the Mavericks. Plays one back. Sent in by Brandt. Headed by Thorson. Jenny Herder comes up to get it. Sends one in. And Makak makes the grab there for Augustana.
Can you see the viewfinder? You can find it down here.
Now Duxini. Taken over there by Maine. Sent in by Duxini again. Thorson. Plays one up on the far side. Tim Quitz. Back to Almendinger. Heading back to Bleeker. Brooke Bleeker. Taken over there by Jenny Herder. Now Herder. Looking for Katu. Thorson back there for the Vikings. That goes off of Partington. Sent right back in by Brandt. And now Kislik. Katu trying to get to it. That gets played out. Off of Bleeker. Actually, that goes off of Katu's back, they say, so Vikings throwing. Taken over there by Duxini now. Lisa Duxini brings it to the middle. Pressed there by Maine. Cleared up by Kierstead. Head by Brandt. Now Dom. Over to Maine. Maine over to Almendinger. Almendinger gets one up to Timquitz on the far side. Samantha Timquitz trying to find Partington and Knowles, but they cannot connect as Nordine sends one back in for the Mavericks. That deflects in the middle. Now Jenny Herder. Duxini sends one back in. Now taken over there by Brandt. Brandt sends one right back in. And Thorson smartly lets it go out of play. Off of Minnesota State, now Augustana goal kick coming up.
This medium one is playing back and
Headed up there by Maine. Brandt cannot control it. And sent in by Timquitz into space on the far side. Ellie Knowles running after there for Augustana. Nordine is back there for the Mavericks. Trying to send one out. And finally does. It'll be a throw for the Vikings. Samantha Timquitz going to take this one. Gets one into Kierstead. Kierstead sends one in. Headed. Maine trying to get to it. They collide. She goes down, no call. And now Hoskins sends one away. Trying to give it a two. Bleeker sends one back in. Brandt clears now for Minnesota State as that goes all the way back to Rebecca Thorson. Thorson sends one in to Timquitz. The far side, Timquitz pressured there. Papazanka. Timquitz comes away with it. Trying to send one in. Ball deflects all the way back to the keeper, Livermore, and she makes the grab there for Minnesota State. Livermore booming kick there. Deflects. Now Maine plays one out on the far side. Mavericks throwing.
okay, just be quiet, yeah.
Trying to give him to Duxini. That deflects in the middle. Now Partington on the ball for Augustana. That gets taken off her foot. And now Brandt up to Kislik. Kislik trying to put him in the middle for Katu. And Thorson's there for the Vikings. Takes it away, looking for Maine. That goes all the way through. Hoskin takes it over. Gets it up to Kislik. Kislik pressured there by Brownrigg. Brings it to the middle now. Trying to send one in to space to Herder. Now Herder looking for Katu. Katu. And they score! Morgan Katu gets the goal there for the Mavericks. Off an assist from Jenny Herder. And Minnesota State increases their lead 2-0. Now Augustana throw-in. Brownrigg looking for Don. That goes out of play. Brownrigg this time connects with Dom. Pushed there by Hoskin and Chacho.
In the 50th minute for the Minnesota State University.
That goes out of play. Another throw in for Augustana.
On the season, assisted by number 8, Lauren Kislett, and number 23,
Dom. Trying to put him back to Brownrigg, and Delisha Doxini comes away there for the Mavericks. Trying to put him in the Herder, taken over back by Brownrigg. Looking for Maine. This time taken away for the Mavericks is Lauren Kislik. Kislik across midfield. Trying to summon in the space for Keneally. That gets deflected. And Brownrigg puts it over to Almendinger. Now Almendinger for the Vikings. Trying to put it up to Timkowitz. That gets played in. Headed by Nordine. And Brandt there for the Mavericks. Sends one out. Maine turns it over. Brandt sends one back in. Now Jenny Herder. Trying to summon into space for Katu. And that goes out of play. Augustana goal kick coming up. Makahak takes this one, sends one away. Headed by Doxini, up to Katu now. Morgan Katu, who just got her the goal for the Mavericks. Looking to create there, brings it to the middle. Still on it. Sends one in. And Makahak makes the grab there. Brandt sends it right back in over to Kislik now. Lauren Kislik looking for Katu again, and that goes all the way back to the keeper. And she makes the grab. With the flex over to Almendinger. Now Almendinger reverses field back to Brownrigg. Now Brownrigg looking for Partington. That gets played by Chacho. And now Chacho up to Kislik. Now Lauren Kislik for the Mavericks. Trying to someone into Katu. That goes over her head and all the way back to the goalkeeper Makahak, and she makes the grab again there for the Augustana Vikings. Gets one up to Timkowitz this time. Now Samantha Timkowitz. Pressured there by Keneally. Plays one back. Almendinger looking for Maine. And that gets turned over. Kislik cannot control it as Bleeker gets one up to Timkowitz. Now Samantha Timkowitz trying to summon into space for Knowles. Nordine's back there for the Mavericks, and that goes all the way back to the keeper, and Livermore comes up to make the grab. Another booming kick there for Livermore. That gets deflected over to Timkowitz. Now Timkowitz back to Kierstead. And Pazanka trying to get one to Katu. That goes out of play on the far side. Going for the Vikings now. Kierstead looking. That gets played out. Duxini, headed by Katu, and Thorson clears. Looking for a run from Knowles. That goes out of play on the far side off of Augustana. Now throwing for Minnesota State. Pazenka going to take this throw in. Goes over Duxini's head. Cleared out by Kierstead, and we'll do it again here. Now Thorson keeps it in on the far side, but Duxini takes it over there for the Mavericks. Trying to summon into Kislik. That goes all the way back to the keeper, Makahak, and she comes up to make the grab there for the Vikings. Headed by Brandt there. Now Herder on the ball for the Mavericks. Jenny Herder looking for Katu. That gets played out. Now Pazenka on the ball for the Mavericks. Pazenka over to Duxini. Now Lisa Duxini brings it to the middle. Looks for Kislik. Kislik pressured there by Brownrigg. She comes away with it. Looking for Knowles. Hoskin back there for the Mavericks. It's up to Kislik. Now Kislik keeps it in on the near side. Pressured there by Brownrigg and Dom. She gets taken down. Foul call on the play. Free kick coming up for Minnesota State. Abby Hoskin on the near side going to take this one. Ball sent in. Headed out by Maine. And now Herder. Pressured there by Timkowitz. And Samantha Timkowitz comes away with it for the Vikings. Pressured there by Duxini, and now Maine clears for Augustana. Now Pazenka on the ball for the Mavericks. Gets taken over there by Timkowitz. Played up by Kierstead. Maine turns it over. Now Keneally. And finally gets played up by Timkowitz. All the way back to Brandt. Now Brandt, that gets deflected on the far side to Keneally. Kierstead gets taken down, no call. Now Keneally comes away with it. Sends one in, and Bleeker sends one back out for the Vikings. And now Pazenka, as she slips, gets one to Duxini. Now Lisa Duxini sends one in. And Makahak makes the grab there for the Augustana Vikings. Duxini sends one right back in. Cleared by Bleeker. All the way back to Chacho now. Bree Chacho. Plays him back to Hoskin. Hoskin sends one in. Looking for Katu. Morgan Katu pressured there by Bleeker. And Brooke Bleeker comes away with it. Plays him back to Brownrigg. Brownrigg right back to Bleeker. And Bleeker plays one up. Looking for Knowles. That gets played back by Dorndine. Now Duxini for the Mavericks. Gets it up to Kislik. Now Lauren Kislik brings it to the middle. Looking for a run. Sends one in. On goal, and Makahak makes the grab there for Augustana. That gets deflected over to Almendinger. Now Courtney Almendinger turns it over, and Brandt looking for two. Rebecca Thorson there for the Vikings. Takes it away. Gets her up to Maine. Now Mackenzie Maine trying to get him to Knowles. That gets deflected and cleared by Pazenka. On the near side, Brownrigg gets it for the Vikings. Plays him back to Bleeker. Now Bleeker clears for Augustana. Headed by Chacho. Taken over there by Maine. Mackenzie Maine gets over to Partington. Partington has that one played out off of Chacho. Thrown for Augustana on the near side. Brownrigg gets one into Partington. Handball called in the play. Free kick coming up for Minnesota State. Abby Nordine going to take this free kick for Minnesota State. That gets deflected and taken over there by Brownrigg. Brownrigg gets one up to Timkowitz. Timkowitz looking for Partington. Sent back in by Barant. Now Barant up to Herder. Herder. That gets deflected. Off of Thorson, and Herder sends one in, and that goes wide. Goal kick coming up for Augustana now. Brownrigg sends one in the middle, no one there for Augustana. Matt Brandt looks for Keneally, like deflects off Kierstead, and Duxini sends one in. Looking for Katu. Now Morgan Katu on the ball for the Mavericks on the far side, pressured there by Thorson. Katu now brings it to the middle, trying to send one in. And the keeper Mankato comes up to make the grab for Augustana. Taken over there by Partington now. Partington looking for Knowles. That gets played back out by Chacho. And Kierstead heads one out on the far side. Throwing from Minnesota State. Pazanka looking for Herder. That gets headed and taken over there by Thorson. Headed back in by Brandt. Almendinger sends one out. Now Pazanka on the ball for the Mavericks. Gets one up to Keneally. Keneally trying to keep it in on the far side. Thorson plays one off of Herder. Throwing for the Vikings now. Kierstead looking for Timkowitz, taken over there by Keneally. Keneally sends one in. And that sails over the top of the net. Goal kick coming up for the Vikings now. Under 30 minutes left to play in regulation. Minnesota State leads it 2-0. Headed by Duxini. Now Keneally looks for Kislik. That deflects and cleared by Brownrigg, but not out as Duxini gets one over to Herder. Now Jenny Herder looking for Katu. Little miscommunication there as that gets played out by Augustana. Now Dom over to Partington. Partington pressured there by Chacho. And Chacho plays him back to Hoskin. Hoskin plays one out on the near side. Throwing for the Vikings now as Augustana has the substitution come in. Checking in is number 26, Grace Beam. And now Brownrigg gets one into Beam. Taken over there by Kislik. Now Lauren Kislik gets taken down there by Beam. Foul called in the play. Mavericks free kick coming up. On the near side, going to take this one is number 17, Abby Hoskin. Hoskin sends one in. That goes over Katu's head and played out. Augustana, now Timkowitz on the ball. Gets one up to Partington. Presses there by Chacho. The Mavericks come away with it. Chacho back to Nordine. Now Nordine sends one in. That goes off of Brownrigg. Running after it, Katu, and Katu gets to it. Katu from Minnesota State. Trying to put it into Kislik. That gets deflected and sent in. Gets one into Herder. Jenny Herder makes a move. Herder gets taken down. No call. As Brownrigg comes away with it for Augustana. Sends one in. Over to Almendinger. Almendinger touch pass up to Knowles. And Nordine comes up to play it for the Mavericks. Sent right back in by Augustana and out of play on the far side. Minnesota State throwing as we have substitutions check in. Number 25, Jensen Freilich checks in for the Vikings.
Coming in for Augustana, number 25, Grace Freilich. And coming in from Minnesota State University, number 19, Dakota Wendell.
Here from Minnesota State, Dakota Wendell checks in. Now Augustana turns it over. Brandt sends one in. And Thorson clears for the Vikings. Head by Daxini. Now Brandt puts them back into Maverick territory. Nordine taken over there by Freilich. Knowles trying to get him back to Freilich. And Chacha comes away with it. Gets one up to Daxini now. Alicia Daxini gets one up to Herder. Jenny Herder now in the middle. Looking for Katsu. That gets played out. Main gets called, falls down, no call, as Daxini gets it over to Kislik. Now Lauren Kislik makes a few moves. Pressured there by Main, brings it to the middle now. Trying to send one in, and that goes wide. Now some more substitutions for Minnesota State. As Molly Riley, Molly Serafolian, and Julia Zock all check in.
Coming in from Minnesota State University, number 14, Molly Riley. Number 24, Molly Serafolian. And number 29, Julia Zock.
Makahek sends one away. Deflects up to Freilich, and now Timquitz trying to find Knowles. That goes all the way back to Maverick territory. Nordine plays him back to the keeper, Livermore. And Livermore plays one out. Now Dakota Wendell trying to play one up. That gets deflected out of play. Off of Minnesota State. Thrown for Augustana now. Kierstad looking for Knowles. That goes all the way back to Nordine, and Nordine keeps it in on the far side. Played back in by the Vikings now. And now Mackenzie Main looking for Freilich. That gets cleared out by Brandt over Dakota Wendell. Wendell up to Daxini. Daxini back to Wendell. And now Wendell over to Daxini. Taken over there by Almendinger. Now Thorson sends one in. Brandt looks for Daxini. Now Daxini plays one into space. No one there for Minnesota State. As Thorson plays one back over to the keeper, Makahek, and Makahek plays one over. On the near side, running after it is Beam. She gets to it. Gets up to Main. Main turns it over. And now Chacha comes away with it for the Mavericks. Gets one up to Riley. Molly Riley pushes there by Brownrigg. And out of play. Augustana throw in. Brownrigg gets one in a Beam. Beam back to Brownrigg. Brownrigg looking for Freilich, and that gets taken over there by Chacho. Sent back in by Brandt. Cleared out by Thorson. And now Brandt comes up to play it again. On the far side, running after it was Dakota Wendell. That goes out of play off of Minnesota State. Thrown for Augustana. Kierstead looking for Timquitz. That gets headed out by Daxini, and we'll do it again here. This time gets it into Freilich. Pressure there by Daxini. That gets played over to Mackenzie Main. Now Main looks for Beam. Hoskin with the pressure there for the Mavericks. Plays one out on the near side. Thrown for the Vikings. Brownrigg looks for Beam. Riley trying to keep it in, and she cannot. As that goes out of play. Another throw for Augustana. Gets one into Knowles this time. Natalie Knowles, pressure there by Chacho. That goes out of play. Again off the Mavericks. Thrown for the Vikings. Brownrigg sends one in now. Timquitz trying to send one in. That gets deflected by Pazanka. And Alexia Pazanka plays one out on the far side. Thrown for the Vikings now. Kierstead gets one back. Trying to send one in to Knowles. That goes over her head, and Nordine heads one out. Ball still loose. As now Zock comes away there for the Mavericks. Trying to send one up to Wendell on the far side. That goes out of play. Off of Minnesota State. Thrown for the Vikings now, but first substitution for Augustana.
Coming in for Augustana, number 16, Rebecca Gasper.
Rebecca Gasper checks in. And now Kierstad. Trying to give him to Freilich. That gets taken over there by Zock. Now Zoc sends one back into Augustana territory. Running after was Serafolian. Thorson plays him back to Makahak. And now Makahak sends one away. On the near side, looking for Beam. Pressured there by Hoskin. Beam gets taken down, no call. Hoskin looking for Serafolian. Ball still loose. Been played out. On the near side by Augustana. Going for the Mavericks now. Abby Hoskin going to take this one. Trying to get one to Zoc. That gets played back out to Hoskin. Now Hoskin up to Riley. Riley looking for Zoc. A little miscommunication there as that one goes out of play. Throwing for Augustana now. Beam. Trying to go back to Brownrigg. That goes out of play. Going for Minnesota State now. I think it's one into Serafolian. Serafolian. Pressure there, brings him to the middle. That gets deflected. Taken away there by the Vikings, excuse me. Casper to Knowles. Now Knowles over to Beam. Beam across midfield. Back to Knowles. Now Ellie Knowles. Pressure there by Chacho and Barant. And now Barant comes away with it. Gets up to Wendell. Wendell up to Zoc. They cannot connect as Augustana comes away with it. Now Samantha Timquits on the far side. Trying to put him into space. Alexa Pazanka gets called for the foul. So free kick coming up for the Vikings. Kierstad trying to send one in. Nordine is back there for the Mavericks. And plays one out. On the far side, throwing for the Vikings. As we're under 20 minutes to play in regulation, Minnesota State still leads it 2-0. Taken over there by Minnesota State. Duxini trying to go into Serafolian. Serafolian looking for Zoc. A little miscommunication there. But Chacho clears it for Mavericks. Bleeker sends one over to Beam. Now Beam for the Vikings. Gets one to Knowles. Ellie Knowles. Back to Maine. Now Mackenzie Maine. Pressured there by Chacho and Duxini. Gets one over to Knowles. Ellie Knowles. Pressured there by Hoskin. And Chacho cannot clear. Maine. Trying to send one in the space for Beam. Beam keeps it in. Trying to send one in. No one there for Augustana as Livermore comes up to make the grab there for the Mavericks. Livermore. Booming kick there. Riley pulls him back to Duxini. She cannot get to it as Beam can for the Augustana Vikings. And now Maine sends one in. No one there for Augustana. Pazanka is for the Mavericks. Headed back in by Kierstad. Trying to get him to Timquits. Pressed there by Barant. And now Wendell gets one up to Zoc. Julia Zoc. Trying to get one to Serafolian. Bleeker plays him back, but not out. As Duxini plays him over to Wendell. Dakota Wendell. Up to Serafolian. Serafolian to Zoc. Zoc, that gets deflected. Bleeker cannot get to it as Zoc can. Julia Zoc, that gets deflected again, this time by Kierstad. And that goes out of play on the far side. Substitution now for Minnesota State. Lauren Kizik checks in.
Coming in for Minnesota State University, number 8, Lauren Kizik.
Not throwing for the Mavericks. That gets played out. All the way back to Pazanka. Now Pazanka sends one in to the middle. No one there for the Mavericks. As Augustana comes away with it now. Mackenzie Maine. Over to Lauren Brownrigg. Brownrigg. Looking for Knowles. Nordine back there for the Mavericks. That gets deflected up. Brownrigg. Up to Freilich. Now Freilich. Trying to summon in this space on the near side for Beam. Back there is Hoskin. Hoskin gets taken down. And a foul call in the play. Free kick coming up for Minnesota State now. Abby Nordine going to take this one for the Mavericks. Nordine, headed there by Beam and Maine. Back to Gasper. Taken over there by Dakota Wendell. Wendell over Duxini now. Alicia Duxini. That gets deflected. Zoc cannot get to it. Serafolian trying to. That goes out of play off Augustana. Thrown for Minnesota State now. Psanka now. Looking for Serafolian. Back there is Thorson for the Vikings. Plays one off of Minnesota State. Goal kick coming up for the Vikings now. Makak plays one short to Bleeker. And now Bleeker to Maine. Maine brings it to the middle. Pressured there by Baran. Now sent up to Serafolian. Molly Serafolian with some room. Good save there by Makak as that goes out of play. Corner kick coming up for Minnesota State now. On the far side, going to take this one. Number 24, Molly Serafolian. Serafolian sending one in. Headed by Daxini. And Dakota Wendell plays it off of the Vikings. Another corner kick coming up for the Mavericks. As we're under 15 minutes to play in this second half. Minnesota State still leads it 2-0. And Serafolian sending one back in. Headed up by Thorson. Sock comes up to get it. Ball gets played out. All the way back to Brandt. Must have been a foul call in the play. Something against Minnesota State nonetheless. Free kick coming up for the Vikings. Headed by Daxini up to Zoc now. Julia Zoc. That gets deflected. Wendell looking for Zoc now. Cleared out. Augustana and now Beam. Turning someone up to Knowles. Psanka sends it back in for the Mavericks. Thorson turns it over. Now Daxini over to Zoc. Zoc pressured there by Maine. Gasper gets it over to Timkwitz. Timkwitz looking for Maine. She cannot get to it. Lauren Kislik in for the Mavericks. And Freilich takes it over there for the Vikings. Gets her up to Kierstad. Kierstad looks for Gasper. Durant takes it away for the Mavericks. And she sends one in. On goal. Easy grab there for Makahek and the Vikings. Another goal kick. Ball bounces. Brandt. Trying to give him to Kislik. That gets cleared out. Off Augustana. On the near side, throwing for the Mavericks. Substitution for Minnesota State now.
Number 15, Taylor Keneally.
Taylor Keneally checks in. Hoskin looking for Wendell. She heads one up. Send it for Serafolian. Thorson clears for the Vikings. Brandt turns someone back in. Gets one to Duxini. Duxini looking for Kislik. Kislik taken over there by Bream. Now Grace Beam for the Vikings. Trying to send one to Knowles. Now Knowles looking for Beam. Beam still on the ball. Sends one in. That going wide. And Livermore makes the grab there for Minnesota State. Another booming kick there for Livermore. That bounces over Serafolian's head. Thorson up to Gasper. Now taken over there by Minnesota State. Dakota Wendell. Wendell over to Keneally. Keneally plays one out. On the far side, throwing for Augustana. Trying to give him to Timkwitz. Taken over there by Doxini. Now Pazanka. That gets deflected off Augustana. Throwing for Minnesota State on the far side. Pazanka. Looking for Serafolian. Keneally trying to send one in. Taken over there by the Vikings. That gets deflected back to Timkwitz. Now Timkwitz sends one in. Looking for Knowles. Back there is Nordine for the Mavericks. Plays it over to Pazanka now. Lexi Pazanka on the far side. Trying to send one into Serafolian. Serafolian looking for Wendell. And turns it over. Now Mackenzie Main over to Brownrigg. Back to Bleeker. Now Bleeker playing one for Beam. Take it over there by Hoskin. Hoskin trying to send one in on the near side for Serafolian. That gets played out by Bleeker. Throwing for the Mavericks now. Kislik gets one into Duxini now. Lisa Duxini brings it to the middle. Presses there by Main. And turns it over. Beam. Now on the near side for the Vikings. Plays one over to Knowles. Presses there by Hoskin. Or Nordine, excuse me. And sent back in by Chacho. That goes all the way back to the keeper for Augustana Makahek. And she makes the grab there for the Vikings. Gets over to Timkwitz. Now Samantha Timkwitz across midfield. With some space. Taken over there by Maddie Brandt. And over to Pazanka. Pazanka trying to send one into space. On the far side for Serafolian. That'll go out of play. Under 10 minutes to go in this second half as we have substitutions for Augustana. And one for Minnesota State.
Number 13, Grace Thunder. Number 18, Katie Oatgeese. And number 32, Erin Schneiderhan. And subbing in for Minnesota State University.
Grace Bender,
Number 20,
Katie Orgees. And Schneiderhan all check in for Augustana. As Herder checks in for Minnesota State. And now foul call in the play on Minnesota State. Free kick coming up for Augustana now. Taking this free kick is number 18, excuse me, Orgees. Augustana plays one in the middle. They're trying to send one in on goal, and Livermore makes the grab there for the Mavericks.
Your last name is Walston.
You got a really good volleyball team. Won the last one before.
Now Herder trying to get him to Serafolian. That gets played over in the middle. Lauren Kislik trying to head one, and that gets cleared out on the near side off of Augustana. Throwing for Minnesota State now. Kislik looking for someone to get it into. Gets one into Serafolian now. Molly Serafolian. Gets it over to Duxini. Now Duxini over to Herder. Jenny Herder looking to send one in. Played by Thorson. Ball still loose. Foul call in the play on the Mavericks. Free kick coming up for Augustana. Ziga went up right away to Timkwitz. Now Samantha Timkwitz trying to play one up. Schneiderhan taken over there by Chacho. Chacho gets one up to Herder. Herder looks for Serafolian. Now Serafolian. That gets cleared back out. And now Freilich on the ball. Gets one over to Timkwitz. Now Samantha Timkwitz. Little miscommunication there as that one gets sent back in by the Mavericks. And now Kislik looks for Serafolian. Ball still loose. Now Kislik gets it. Sends one in. And Makak makes the grab there for the Vikings. Headed by Daxini. Now Herder. Running after it is Serafolian. Pressured there by Thorson. Serafolian back to Kislik. Kislik trying to send one in. Saved there by Makahak. Timquitz heads one up to Knowles. Knowles turns it over. And now Nardine for the Mavericks. Looking for Keneally. That gets headed out by Kierstad on the far side. Throwing for the Mavericks. And now substitution for Minnesota State. Checking in is number 9, Morgan Katsu. Now Augustana cannot control it. Minnesota State Candace. Chacho sends one in. Looking for Keneally. Kierstead cannot take it away. Sent back in by Brent. Cleared back out by Thorson and on Pazenka. Looking for Keneally on the far side. Keneally keeps it in. Looks for Katu. That gets played back out. And now Freilich cannot control it. Brent plays it over on the near side. No one there for Minnesota State. And Bender plays one out for Augustana. Throwing for Minnesota State now. Kislik. Looking for Katu. Gets it into her. Katu back to Kislik. Now Lauren Kislik trying to send one in. And that goes wide. Goal kick coming up for Augustana now as we approach 5 minutes left to play in this second half. Minnesota State still leads it 2-0. Headed by Daxini and Herder. Cleared back out by Bender. Daxini back in. And Bender takes it away. Gets one up to Freilich. Now Jensen Freilich. Pushed it there by Barant. Trying to put it into Snyderhand. That goes through Hoskin. Hoskin back on the ball. Gets over to Chacho. Chacho. Looking for Kislik. That gets deflected. Katu heads one up to Herder. Now Jenny Herder. Back there is Thorson. And she clears for Augustana. Head back in by Barant. Kislik. Looking for Katu. Bleeker back there for the Vikings. Gets her up to Snyderhand. Snyderhand across midfield. Plays it over to Orgies. Orgies. Looking for Timquitz. That gets played out off Alexi Pazenka on the far side. Throwing for the Vikings now. Kierstad gets one to Ortiz. Ortiz over back to Kierstad. Sent over to Bleeker. Now Bleeker sends one in. Looking for Timquitz. That gets headed out by Pazenka and taken over there by Augustana now. Kierstad sends one in. Headed by Nordine. Cleared by Barant. Out of play on the far side. Now Augustana throw in. It's one to Timquitz. Timquitz in the middle for Kierstad. Or Freilich, excuse me. That gets deflected. All the way over. Now Timquitz on the ball for the Vikings. Trying to send one in. Ball still loose. Nordine sends it back out. And Timquitz trying to get one over to Kierstad. That gets played out off of the Mavericks. Throw for the Vikings now. Freilich right back to Kierstad. Kierstad turns it over. And cleared by the Mavericks, excuse me. All the way back to midfield. Bleeker. Gets one to Snyderhand. Taken over there by Kislik. Kislik keeps it on the near side. Katu running after it for the Mavericks. Bender back there for the Vikings. Plays over to Bleeker. Bleeker right back to Bender. Bender up to Gasper. Gasper gets one to Snyderhand. Snyderhand keeps it in. Pressured there by Kislik. Gets it back to Gasper. Gasper. Back to Bleeker. Bleeker. Looking for Orgies. And that gets played back out. Thorson. Looking for Knowles. Daxini. Cannot control it. Sent right back in by Augustana. Into space. Looking for Snyderhand. And Livermore comes up to make the grab there for Minnesota State. 2 minutes to play here in Mankato As Livermore sends one away. That bounces up to Katu. Now Katu looking for Keneally. Keneally on the far side. Pushed there by Kierstead and taken away. Played out on the far side. Thrown for the Mavericks. Keneally. Continue to Katu. Now Katu. Right back to Keneally. Keneally in the corner. Pressured there and cleared out by Augustana. Another throw in for the Mavericks. That goes out of play. Thrown for the Vikings now. And they turn it over. Thrown for the Mavericks now. Keneally cannot keep it in. Augustana finally comes away with it. And Oksini takes it over. Sent back in by Pasanka. Headed by Bleeker. And 1 minute remaining in this championship match. 1 minute. Bender. Taken over there by Barant. Barant sends one in. Bender clears it out. Oksini cannot control it. Gasper can for Augustana. Headed by Pasanka. Now Ortiz on the ball for the Vikings now. Tim Blitz gets it up to Knowles. Knowles trying to center for Frey. That could set it up by Chacho. Brandt cannot control it. Ortiz plays him back. Thorson trying to get up to Gasper. Now Minnesota State comes away with it. Lauren Kislick sends one in. And that'll do it. Minnesota State defeats Augustana 2-0. And the Mavericks are 2017 NSIC Conference Champions. Goals for Morgan Gatu and Alicia Doxini. As the Mavericks defeat the Vikings here in Mankato. Shots on goal. 15-0 in favor of Minnesota State. Corner kicks 9-1 in favor of Minnesota State. And the Mavericks are NSIC Conference Champions of 2017. The NCAA